Hey guys, tonight we begin with something a little darker. A time of unseen dangers, brutal challenges, and the very dawn of human ingenuity. We're diving into what life was really like during the Stone Age. Forget the romanticized images of cavemen and simple harmony. Hollywood sold you a fantasy. The truth? If you woke up there, today, from your comfortable bed, you probably wouldn't last a single, not even half a day. So, before you get too comfortable, take a moment. If you genuinely enjoy what we do here, if you're ready to truly immerse yourself in this ancient world, consider liking this video, perhaps even subscribe. It truly helps us bring these stories to life. And let me know in the comments below, where are you tuning in from? What time is it for you right now as we begin this extraordinary journey together? It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world, across time zones, ready to step back through the eons. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together, into the deep past, the Stone Age. Congratulations, you've just woken up. Not in your familiar bedroom, not in 2025, you've just woken up roughly 30,000 years ago. Imagine that, 30 millennia stripped away. The good news? The air here, right now, is probably cleaner than any air you've ever breathed. Crisp, untainted, unpolluted. It stings your lungs a little with its purity, perhaps. A subtle aroma of damp earth, distant pine, and something wild. But the bad news? The very bad news? You're far, far more likely to become a saber-toothed cat's breakfast, or a hyena's, or just cold. Your bed. Oh, your bed. There's no memory foam, no Egyptian cotton, no soft mattress to cushion your weary bones. Your bed is a patch of hard, unforgiving earth, cold, perhaps even damp. If you are among the lucky, the truly privileged, it might be lined with a few animal skins, thick hides, still carrying the faint scent of the creature they once belonged to. But often it's just the rugged ground itself, the vast, silent wilderness, stretching out beyond your rudimentary shelter. Above you, the immense, star-dusted canopy of the ancient night sky, now beginning to yield to the first light. You blink awake. Your eyes, accustomed to artificial light, struggle to adjust to the dimness. There's no church bell here, no mechanical clang, no smartphone alarm buzzing insistently. Your alarm clock is the soft, gradual lightening of the horizon, the imperceptible shift from inky black to a pale, pre-dawn grey. Perhaps the distant, haunting cry of an unknown animal, a rustle in the dry leaves nearby that sends a jolt of ice through your veins. Or, more simply, the sheer, biting chill that seeps into your very bones, forcing you awake, compelling you to move. Your home, it isn't a hut, not in the sense you know it. It's most likely a cave, a gaping dark maw in a sheer rock face, or if you're out on the open plains, a rough, temporary shelter, a flimsy structure built from branches, lashed together with sinew, covered hastily with rough animal hides. There are no walls in the conventional sense, certainly no insulation, just a crude windbreak, a fragile barrier against the elements and the unseen dangers of the night. No windows, of course, just an open entrance, a dark mouth leading to the unknown. The open concept floor plan here is truly wide open. Shared with your immediate family group, your children, your mate, perhaps a few elderly parents or distant kin, all huddled together for warmth, for survival, and inevitably shared with whatever wild creatures might dare to wander too close. Rodents, insects, perhaps the chilling shadow of a larger predator, testing the limits of your fire.
And the smell? Oh, the smell. It's a primal blend. The ever-present aroma of wood smoke, acrid and a little bit stinging in your nostrils. The damp, rich scent of earth, of decaying leaves. The musky, slightly fetid odour of raw animal hides. And yes, the faint, undeniable, musky scent of unwashed bodies. Your body. Their bodies. Scented candles. Not even a flicker in the wildest imagination of your Stone Age mind. The very concept would be laughable. You try to stretch. A simple, automatic motion. But your muscles protest immediately. They are stiff, sore. A profound ache radiates through your limbs. This is the fatigue born of a night spent curled against the cold, on hard ground, in a body that never truly rests. You're young, perhaps in your late teens or early 20s by our modern reckoning, but life here is so profoundly, unimaginably hard that you already carry the burdens of age. Your joints creak and groan with a protest usually reserved for centenarians in your distant future. Your body is already a roadmap of old scars, countless scrapes, falls, bruises, near misses, each one a testament to a life lived on the absolute edge. Getting out of bed? That's not just a movement. It's a calculation, a gamble, facing the biting cold that permeates the very air, the ever-present gnawing hunger in your stomach, and of course the constant unspoken threat that always lurks just beyond the cave mouth, just beyond the fragile warmth of your fire. Privacy? The very word would be alien to your Stone Age mind. What's that? Your entire band, your family, your closest kin, your very lifeline, wakes up beside you, a cluster of shivering bodies. There's no separation, no personal space, no me time in the modern sense. Just the collective warmth, the shared vulnerability, the profound, undeniable interdependence of your small, precarious group. Welcome. Welcome to morning in the Paleolithic. Welcome to the Stone Age, where every single dawn is a hard-won testament to sheer, brute survival. And every single breath you take is a desperate gamble. This is just how your day starts. It only gets more primal, more challenging from here. So, you've managed. You've somehow peeled yourself off the cold, hard ground. Congrats, a small victory in itself. Now, the body's most basic, undeniable urge makes itself known. Nature calls, and it's not calling politely, not with a gentle whisper. It's a primal, insistent scream. It demands immediate attention. It respects no boundaries. Here's the part where, if you could, you'd give absolutely anything for even a rudimentary medieval bucket, for the idea of a designated enclosed space, but there's no toilet, no seat, no paper of any kind, no flush, not even the vague conceptual understanding of a dedicated latrine, beyond the unspoken agreement that you move a little further from the communal sleeping area. In the Paleolithic, relieving yourself is an act of simple, undeniable necessity, done quickly, efficiently, and always with every sense heightened, every instinct alert. You are constantly scanning your surroundings, looking, listening, for any sign of movement, any indication of a threat. Your bathroom? It's likely a carefully chosen, secluded spot, behind a particularly large bush perhaps, or a cluster of ancient lichen-covered rocks, maybe a convenient shallow ditch scooped out by natural forces. The smell, unlike the concentrated stench of medieval streets, is mostly dissipated by the vast open air. You do your business quickly, your movements economical, practiced. Then you instinctively cover it, with a handful of dry leaves, or a scoop of loose dirt, as much to mask your presence, to hide your tracks from potential predators, as for any nascent notion of hygiene. There are no shouts of gardy-loo, just the quiet rustle of disturbed foliage and the quick, silent movements of your band. An unspoken understanding. Toilet paper? That's a futuristic fantasy. So far beyond comprehension it would be absurd. You use whatever is readily available. Large soft leaves if you can find them. Patches of moss. Perhaps a handful of dry grass. Whatever feels least irritating to your tender skin. And cleanliness? That's a concept that will evolve over tens of thousands of years. For now, wiping is about practical removal, about being quick, about minimizing risk. It is not in any way about sterilization. There's no public latrine to share with strangers here. Your strangers aren't other humans in a bustling town. Your strangers are likely rival tribes, fiercely protective of their own territories, or, even more likely, dangerous animals, predatory beasts, lurking, always. So whether you're alone, venturing a short distance from the safety of the fire, or with a few members of your band, Paleolithic toileting is a simple, raw, profoundly natural act. It's cold, it's exposed, and it is always about immediate moment-to-moment survival. A quick, necessary act in an unforgiving world, and you still haven't brushed your teeth. But don't worry, that's not really a thing out here either. Your teeth are tools. They are for eating. They are for survival, not for cleanliness in the way you know it. You survive the toilet. A small victory, certainly. A temporary relief. You deserve a reward, don't you? Perhaps a nice warm breakfast. Something nourishing. Something delicious. Something predictable. Sorry, this is the Stone Age. And here, absolutely nothing is predictable. Breakfast, if you can even dignify it with such a word, is a grim affair. It is an act of profound uncertainty. It is entirely, utterly dependent on the previous day's success, or, more often, its lack thereof. There are no eggs Benedict, No coffee machine sputtering awake with the promise of caffeine, and certainly no avocado toast. The very ingredients are thousands of years from existing. You sit, or more likely squat, near the communal fire pit. This fire, this flickering, dancing flame. It is more than just a source of warmth. It is precious, vital, a beacon of protection against the cold, against the darkness, against the encroaching threats of the night. You wait, you watch, you hope. Your meal today is a raw, unyielding hunk of whatever meat was left over from yesterday's kill, if there was a kill. Perhaps it's charred slightly, blackened over the open flame, infused with the taste of wood smoke and primal heat. Or perhaps it's simply raw, still cold, still carrying the metallic tang of blood. There's no simmering for days here, no notion of a complex evolving stew. Everything is immediate. Meat is eaten relatively fresh, devoured quickly before it spoils, or, if there was an abundance, perhaps it's been painstakingly dried into jerky, tough, leathery strips to last a little longer, or smoked in a rudimentary fashion, hanging over the smoky fire. Grains? Not yet. Agriculture, the domestication of plants, that fundamental shift in human existence, is still thousands of years in the future. Your diet is entirely, absolutely hunter-gatherer. On the side, if you're truly lucky, there might be a handful of nuts, or perhaps some seasonal berries, wild fruits, if you're fortunate enough to stumble upon them. Everything you consume is raw, earthy, untamed, the pure, unadulterated taste of the wild. There's no bread, no processed food of any kind, no refined sugars, just what the land provides. Sometimes a fleeting abundance, often a gnawing scarcity. What about drinks? You're not sipping weak ale like your medieval descendants. You're drinking water, pure water, from the clearest stream you can find, the freshest spring bubbling up from the earth, and you pray. You simply pray with every fibre of your being that it's clean enough. There's no boiling it to make it safe, not unless you're cooking with it. You drink directly from the source, cupping your hands, trusting your instincts, relying on the ancient wisdom of your elders to guide you to the safest, purest waterholes. A dangerous gamble with every sip. Want some meat? Some vital, life-giving fat? That's the primary, overriding goal of every single hunt. It's what keeps you alive, what fuels your body for the immense, crushing effort required to simply exist. As for fresh fruit, it's only available when it's in season, a fleeting treat, and you consume it quickly, voraciously, before it succumbs to rot. Spices? Only the natural herbs and plants you might find in the wild, often used sparingly for their medicinal properties rather than purely for flavour. Your taste buds are attuned to the raw, natural essence of the world. So, you chew your tough, sinewy meat, you strip berries from their branches, you gnaw on roots, and you try not to think about the enormous, furry, fanged animal that might have wanted that meat more than you did. You try not to think about how long it's been since the last meal. Breakfast here doesn't energize you in a refined, modern way. It just provides the raw, brutal fuel you need. The sheer, desperate calories required to face the monumental, terrifying challenge of the day. And now that you're barely sustained, now that your stomach has a fleeting moment of relief, it's time to work. To work like your very life depends on it. Because it absolutely, unequivocally does. So you've eaten your raw, wild breakfast. A brief, precious moment of sustenance, and now it's time to get dressed. Not that there's much to it, not that it will provide any comfort beyond the bare necessities of survival. Your wardrobe. It consists of exactly one outfit. One, the animal skins you wear, layered. Perhaps 2 or 3 thick hides, meticulously scraped and prepared, held together with crude fastenings of bone, sharpened wood, or tough dried sinew. There's no such thing as seasonal fashion here. No concept of clean clothes in the way you understand it. There's just, wear this. Wear this until it literally disintegrates. Wear this until you manage to secure a new kill and fashion new coverings. It is pure, brutal practicality. Underwear? Not a concept. The very idea would be alien. You are going commando, under layers of rough, hairy hides, often stiff, often scratchy against your skin, lovingly stitched together, yes, but not by a tailor. By someone whose very life depended on keeping you warm, keeping you protected. There's no washing machine, no soap beyond perhaps the occasional rubbing with ash, and absolutely no dry cleaner. Even if you wanted to clean your furs, it's a monumental back-breaking task. Scraping off layers of grime, beating them with heavy stones to dislodge dirt and insects, perhaps laboriously rubbing them with animal fat or brain matter to soften them and make them more pliable. It's a job reserved for special, rare occasions, not for daily wear, so your clothes are permanently stained, stiff, and scented like the animal they once belonged to, plus whatever your own body has added. The sweat, the dirt, the accumulated odours of a life lived outdoors, and don't even get me started on shoes. If you are among the very few, the truly fortunate who possess any, they are rudimentary foot coverings of hide. Simple wraps, tied with leather thongs, offering absolutely no arch support, no cushioning. Most of the time, you go barefoot, through mud, through snow, through freezing streams, over sharp, jagged rocks, through thorny bushes, over the hardened, unpredictable terrain of the wilderness. Your feet. They are toughened beyond belief, calloused, scarred, often cracked, permanently cold, permanently damp, permanently exposed to the raw elements. Every step is a calculated risk. All of this means one undeniable truth: your skin. It knows the earth, it is tough, weather-beaten, often profoundly itchy. Fleas and lice are not an annoyance, they're a fact of life. They're carried by every animal you encounter, transferred easily to your own body. Everyone has them, from the youngest infant to the oldest elder. There are no nobles here, no lousy monks yet, just itchy children, itchy adults, entire walking insect farms. You will find yourself instinctively scratching your armpit with a bone fragment, or perhaps a sharp stick, while you're scouting for game or sitting by the fire, and no one will even bat an eye. It is simply life. Your skin is raw from constant rubbing against the coarse hides, your scalp a battlefield of unseen bites, and if you develop a rash, well, too bad. There's no dermatologist, no hydrocortisone, no one to tell you it's probably scabies. You simply keep on suffering. You endure. Because suffering is not an exception here. Suffering is part of the very fabric of existence, and if you're lucky enough not to get a debilitating infection from one of those bites, great. That rash will simply accompany you for the next 6 months. A constant, irritating medieval sidekick. Except there's no medieval yet, just the raw, relentless itch of the Stone Age. Now that you're dressed in the very skin of your former prey, wrapped in discomfort and buzzing with unseen companions, it's time to head outside, to face the day, to begin the arduous, life-consuming work. Because it is here that the true test begins. Now that you're fully dressed in animal hides, layered against the cold, feeling the constant tickle of unseen passengers, it's time to flash that morning smile. Except you don't. Because in the Stone Age, your smile isn't about appearance. It's a harsh, unflinching reflection of a life lived on the very edge of survival. A brutal, truthful glimpse into your own mortality. There is no toothbrush, no toothpaste, no mouthwash, no floss. The very concept of oral hygiene, of cleaning your teeth for health or aesthetics, is entirely non-existent. Your focus is on the next meal, the next hunt, the next safe place to sleep. You might instinctively chew on fibrous plants, or gnaw on a bone fragment to dislodge bits of meat, but for the most part your teeth are on their own, and they are doing what nature dictates. They are enduring. By the time you hit your early teens, your smile looks like something pulled directly from a fossil record. Your teeth are visibly worn down, smoothed by constant abrasion. Abrasion from chewing tough, sinewy, often raw meat, from grinding down gritty plant matter, from crunching on bone fragments for marrow. Cavities are less common than in the later medieval period, yes, primarily because refined sugars don't exist yet. But chipped teeth are rampant. Fractured teeth, broken teeth from a misstep while chewing on bone, and gum infections are a constant, painful reality. Those aren't just food stains on your teeth. That's the slow, persistent wear and tear, the relentless decay, the inevitable breakdown of a life lived entirely off the land. You have more wear on your molars than a modern human will see in a lifetime of refined eating. Toothaches, oh, get used to them. They're a constant companion, a dull, throbbing ache that sits in the background of your consciousness, a painful reminder of your vulnerability. The kind of pain that makes you instinctively gnaw on a piece of bitter bark, hoping for some ancient, ununderstood relief. The kind of pain that might make you consider praying to the spirits of the ancestors for a swift end. There are no dentists here, no barber surgeons to extract a painful molar. If a tooth becomes too agonizing, if the infection too overwhelming, it's endured, until it falls out on its own. Or, in a desperate, agonizing act of self-mutilation, you might try to knock it out yourself, with a sharpened stone, a grim, terrifying attempt at relief. Infected tooth? Hope you like fevers, hope you like pus, because without any understanding of infection, without any antibiotics, that small, localized pain can very easily, very quickly turn into a systemic infection, sepsis, and it can kill you from something as seemingly simple as an abscess. The same thing that sends us to a pharmacy today for a quick fix could be your funeral, right here, right now, in the 30th millennium BCE. And there's no relief on the social front either. Kissing? Good luck. Halitosis, or bad breath, is everywhere, a shared reality. If you're looking for a mate, you're not judged by your sparkling smile. You're judged by your physical prowess, your hunting skills, your ability to gather food, your overall strength and resilience, your health, your fertility. Your smile isn't a factor. In short, your mouth is a tool for survival, a tool for eating, a tool for communication, and it is constantly being tested, pushed to its limits. Now that your teeth are throbbing, a constant reminder of your fragile existence, it's time to head outside, to face the vast, untamed world, because your real job, the one that will consume every waking moment, is just getting started. It waits for you. Time to head to work. No, not to an office, not to a desk. There's no such thing as a coffee break, and absolutely, unequivocally, no chance of promotion beyond perhaps being recognized as the lead hunter, the most skilled gatherer, or a revered elder whose wisdom keeps the band alive. Your job, if you're like every single other person in your small band, is simple. Don't die, while finding enough to eat, enough to keep yourself alive, enough to keep your small, precious group alive. You are a hunter-gatherer. Congratulations. This is humanity's first and longest-running profession. This means you constantly roam the land, a vast, untamed expanse that belongs to no one, and yet, paradoxically, belongs to everyone. An eternal search for food, for shelter, for safety, for survival. You rise with the first sliver of sun, or even before it, if a good hunting opportunity presents itself, and you stop only when the sun dips below the horizon, plunging the world into a dangerous darkness. Or when you have secured enough sustenance to quell the immediate gnawing hunger of your band. Your tools. These are your most prized possessions. A finely crafted stone axe, heavy, balanced, capable of felling a small tree or splitting bone. A long, well-balanced spear, its tip a razor-sharp piece of flint or obsidian. A deadly extension of your will. A smaller, incredibly sharp flint knife. Your constant companion, and perhaps most importantly your own body. Every muscle honed, every instinct sharpened, every bone still intact. There's no weekend, there's no clocking out. There's only the relentless pursuit of life, sunrise to sunset, every single day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Sunday is not off, it's simply another day to survive. The work, it is brutal, it is unpredictable, and it is often profoundly terrifying. You track game across vast, wild landscapes, sometimes for hours, often for days, pushing your body to its absolute physical limits. Beyond what you thought possible, you dig for roots, buried deep in the earth, using digging sticks. You climb ancient gnarled trees for fruit or nuts. You fish in icy streams, using primitive hooks or bare hands. You learn the intricate patterns of the animals, their migratory routes, their feeding habits, their vulnerabilities. You learn the secrets of the plants, which are edible, which are poisonous, which can heal. You learn the ever-changing face of the land, where to find water, where to find shelter, where danger lurks. No one cares if you're tired. The very concept of tired is a luxury. No one's asking how your mental health is doing. Such concepts are for a distant, unimaginable future. If you're a woman, surprise! You don't just gather food, you also give birth. You care for children, you prepare the food, you process the animal hides, transforming them into vital clothing and shelter. You craft tools and clothing. You feed the animals, if you've started rudimentary taming, and you carry the heavy, constant burdens of your nomadic life. Children? They start helping out as soon as they can walk upright, around age 5 or 6. There's no school, no toys beyond what they fashion from sticks and stones. Just a tiny digging stick in their hands, and a shared, unspoken dream of one day not dying of starvation. And if you're one of the few who isn't primarily hunting or gathering, perhaps you're a skilled toolmaker, a master of flint knapping, shaping raw stone into deadly blades with incredible precision, or a tanner, painstakingly processing hides into soft, usable leather, or perhaps an artist, carefully painting the stories of the hunt, the spirits of the animals, on the cold, dark walls of your cave. Great, you still work constantly, with rough materials, under challenging, often dangerous conditions. The pay? Basically, survival, the bare, brutal minimum. The perks? Occasional success, the profound, indescribable joy of a full belly, the fleeting warmth of a fire, and the knowledge, the deep, satisfying knowledge that you have kept your family alive for another day. Break a bone? Too bad. Get a fever? You're on your own, hoping the body's natural defences are enough, hoping the shaman has some powerful herbs. You can't afford to stop, not even for a single solitary day, because if you don't work, you don't eat. And if you don't eat, well, the Paleolithic has a very simple, very final solution for that. It's called being replaced. Or, more grimly, becoming food for something else. So you grip your spear, you ignore the gnawing hunger pangs in your stomach, you push through the searing pain in your muscles, and you keep moving, you keep hunting, you keep gathering. Because in the Stone Age, your job isn't a career, it's a desperate, exhilarating, terrifying dance with death. Every single second. Now that your body is screaming from hours of relentless labour in the wild, now that every muscle aches with a protest that echoes through your very bones, let's talk about the weather. Because in the Stone Age, temperature is less about distinct seasons as you know them, and more about the raw, unadulterated, often terrifying power of nature. A constant, indifferent master, capable of giving life and snatching it away in an instant. Let's start with winter. Imagine that. The brutal, unrelenting cold. There's no insulation in your home, no central heating, no weather stripping to seal out the biting winds. Just the flimsy animal hides of your makeshift shelter, or the solid, damp, freezing rock of your cave. Your windows? They're open air, or maybe a simple flap of hide, offering scant protection. The fire in the hearth, that precious dancing flame, it is absolutely essential for your survival. It is your lifeline. But you don't have enough firewood to keep it roaring bright and warm through the long, endless night. You gather whatever fallen branches you can find, every twig, every piece of dead wood, and you nurse the embers carefully, blowing on them gently, adding tiny pieces of fuel, praying they don't die out. You bundle up, layered furs, thick, heavy hides, and you huddle, close to the dying embers, close to your family, close to the very edge of warmth, and still. You wake up, your nose numb from the biting cold, your fingers stiff, so stiff they feel like tiny frozen claws, your feet permanently cold, often damp, even wet, your toes numb. Frostbite isn't diagnosed here, it's just called losing a digit, or getting weak, a grim reality, a common occurrence. Now, fast forward to summer, sounds better, doesn't it? A time of warmth, of sun, of abundance. Not necessarily, not always. In summer, your open shelter offers little reprieve from the baking, relentless sun. There's no fan, no cross breeze, and absolutely, horrifyingly, no deodorant. You sweat, profusely, through your layers of hide, but you can't remove them. They are your protection. Protection from the sun's harsh rays, from countless scrapes and thorns, and from the incessant biting insects. The flies are out in full, buzzing force, attracted to everything, to your unwashed body, to the remnants of your last kill. Mosquitoes buzz relentlessly by your ear while you try to sleep. Assuming you can sleep through the sounds of the deep night, the rustling of unseen creatures, the distant chilling calls of predators, the cries of your own young, restless in the heat. In the vast open plains the sun bakes you mercilessly. In the dense forests the humidity is oppressive. No sunblock, no hat, beyond perhaps a thick cap of fur or a simple head wrap fashioned from leaves. And the worst part? You still have to hunt. You still have to gather. relentlessly. Heat stroke isn't diagnosed, it's just called collapsing, or getting lost, or more simply, death. So you're either shivering, huddled in your cave, wondering if your fingers will make it through to spring, if your small child will survive the night, or you're sweating through your animal hides. Your skin chafes into oblivion from the constant moisture and rubbing. And the one thing that never changes, no matter the season, your clothes still smell, your food is still a gamble, and your next job, the relentless, all-consuming task of survival, is still waiting. Welcome to climate control Stone Age style. There is none. It is the raw, untamed world, in all its awesome, beautiful, terrifying power, and you and your small band are utterly, completely at its mercy, every single moment. Feeling thirsty? The parched dryness in your throat is a constant companion. Need to freshen up? Want to splash a little water on your face to wake yourself from this ceaseless, high-stakes dream of survival? You do it. But you do it with extreme, unwavering caution. Because in the Stone Age, water is both your absolute life force and a potential silent killer. Let's start with drinking. The nearby stream. It might look fresh, bubbling, clear, like something plucked straight from a nature documentary. But you've learned, through bitter, agonizing experience, through the ancient whispered wisdom of your elders, that not all water is safe, not all clear water is pure. Upstream, a colossal herd of mammoth might have just passed through, stirring up sediment, leaving behind who knows what. A rotting carcass could be polluting a hidden spring. Unseen, undetected, you drink, instinctively, directly from the cleanest source you can find, cupping your hands, drawing up the cold, clear liquid. You trust your deepest instincts, relying on generations of accumulated knowledge to guide you to the safest, purest waterholes. There's no boiling water for safety here, not unless you're cooking over a fire. You just drink, and you pray. You simply pray with every fibre of your being that it's clean enough. It's a dangerous daily gamble, with every single sip. What about bathing? Surely water was used for cleaning? In theory, yes. In practice, cleanliness, as you know it, is not a concept. It's all about raw, brutal survival. You might, after a particularly bloody hunt, wash off the grime, the blood. You might rinse your hands before eating. But regular full-body bathing, as a notion of cleanliness or refreshment, is not a priority. You're constantly exposed to dirt, to animal matter, to the elements. Your body is a vessel for survival, not a temple of hygiene. It is tough, resilient, and it is, inevitably, dirty. Sometimes, after a long hot trek or a particularly dirty task, the desire to truly immerse yourself, to feel the water wash over you, is overwhelming. But even then, it's a careful calculation. You watch for predators. You watch for signs of other hostile groups. You're never truly at ease. Even a momentary immersion in a cool stream is fraught with a quiet, ever-present danger. So whether it's going in your mouth, on your body, or into the rudimentary stew pot you might make with collected roots, water in the Stone Age is less of a casual commodity, less of a refreshing drink, and more of a precious, vital, perilous gamble. One wrong gulp, one unseen parasite, and you're spending your final days shivering, convulsing, clenching your stomach in agony, a burden to your band. Next time you sip tap water, effortlessly, mindlessly, from a clean faucet, raise a silent, profound tribute to our ancestors, to the very first humans. They didn't have the luxury of hydration without hazard. They didn't have the luxury of a single moment without the shadow of risk. So, you drank the water. Or perhaps you didn't. Perhaps you were less lucky. Perhaps you just got gored by that enraged wild boar you were hunting, its tusks ripping through your flesh. Or you suffered a compound fracture falling from a slippery rock face during a climb. Either way, you're sick, or gravely injured. You need help. You need someone to tend to you. Someone with knowledge. Someone with power. Too bad you live in the Stone Age, where medicine is less about science, and far, far more about primal instinct, keen observation, ancient wisdom, and desperate, agonizing hope. Let's start with the diagnosis. Everything wrong with you, whether it's a burning fever, a gaping wound, a shattered bone, or a mysterious, debilitating sickness that saps your strength. is understood through the raw, unmediated lens of direct observation. What did you eat? Where did you go? What spirit might have been angered? There's no concept of humours, no complex physiological theories. It's about what you see, what has worked before, passed down through generations, and what the shaman or the wise elder of your band might intuit, might divine, through ritual, through trance. Got a fever? Your band will try to keep you warm, huddled by the fire, or perhaps cool you with damp leaves pressed against your forehead. They might carefully give you certain bitter herbs to chew. Knowledge passed down painstakingly through countless generations. Herbs known for their ability to reduce pain, or induce sweat, or quiet the stomach. There's no bloodletting here. That's too risky, too final. Bleeding out is not a treatment. It's a consequence of injury. Feeling sad or anxious. That's not really a concept when the sheer brutal act of survival is your only goal. You are either functional, or you are a burden. You either contribute, or you perish. Now, if you break a bone, a sharp snap that echoes through your body, or you get a nasty gaping wound from a predator, you're in real, profound trouble. There's no anesthesia, no numbing agents beyond perhaps gnawing on a specific pain-reducing root, or simply passing out from sheer, unbearable agony. Surgery is done with the sharpest flint knives available, blades that are cleaned only by rubbing them on a piece of clean hide, or rinsing them in a cold stream. Tools are primitive, painfully so. Antibiotics, unimaginable. Germ theory, not a thought. They might try to close a deep wound with natural fibres, or thin, strong animal sinew. They might pack it with certain leaves, known for their ability to staunch bleeding. Or perhaps a poultice of crushed herbs and mud. They do their best, their very best. If your condition gets worse, if the fever rises, if the wound festers, if your breathing becomes shallow and ragged, you'll be moved to a quiet corner of the cave, or a secluded spot away from the main camp. You'll be cared for by your family. But with a grim, unspoken understanding, you are near the end. There's no priest to give last rites, just the quiet, sombre presence of your band, perhaps a few murmured prayers, a few ancient rituals to help your spirit pass peacefully to the ancestral hunting grounds. And if, by some miracle, you recover, if your body through sheer resilience fights off the infection, if your bone knits, everyone just assumes it was your inherent strength, your vital life force, and the collective care of the group, and perhaps a sign that the spirits were pleased. The shaman takes whatever credit is due, reinforcing their connection to the unseen world, and you return to the hunt. Your body bearing new scars, your spirit perhaps even tougher. So yes, in the Stone Age, medicine is less about healing in a modern sense, and far more about leveraging rudimentary knowledge, powerful intuition, desperate communal support, and the sheer, unyielding tenacity of the human body to survive against overwhelming odds. Every act of healing is a testament, a silent prayer. After a long, arduous day, a day of hunting, of gathering, of navigating the countless threats of the wild, it is finally evening. You shuffle back to the warmth of the fire, your stomach growling with a hunger that feels like an empty cavern, ready for the one profound joy left in life, a meal, a shared meal, bad news. Your meal, while vital, is still a constant daily challenge, a struggle. Let's begin with the basics. Food preservation. It is utterly primitive. There is no fridge, no freezer, no pantry full of canned goods, just the cunning use of nature's own methods. The deep, penetrating cold of winter, drying meat and berries in the sun, or rudimentary smoking over a slow, smouldering fire to keep things from spoiling too quickly. Your meat, when you're lucky enough to have any, when the hunt has been successful, might be eaten raw, tough, chewy, still carrying the warmth of the fresh kill, or it's cooked over an open fire, charred, smoky, infused with the taste of primal heat. It is tough, sinewy, rich with the undeniable taste of the wild, every fibre a testament to the life that was given. Vegetables and fruits, they're entirely seasonal, a fleeting blessing. You consume them quickly, voraciously, before they rot, before they are lost. There's no storage of vast quantities for the long term, no stockpiles. Your diet is entirely dictated by what the land offers, which means cycles, cycles of feast and cycles of famine. When a large animal is successfully brought down, There is a period of intense communal feasting, a profound celebration of survival, of sustenance, every belly filled, every hunger pang momentarily quelled. But these precious periods are often, inevitably, followed by days, even weeks, of intense hunger, of scarcity, forcing your band to move constantly, to roam, always seeking new resources, new sources of food, new hope. Dairy? Not a concept yet for human consumption. The animals are not domesticated for that purpose, not for their milk, spices, only the natural herbs you might find in the wild, the pungent leaves, the bitter roots, perhaps used for their medicinal properties, or for subtle earthy flavours, but certainly not for the complex aromatic sensations you know today. Most meals taste of smoke, of earth, of the raw, untamed essence of life itself. But food isn't just sustenance. It is more than calories. It is a social fabric, a profound, sacred bond. The success of the hunt? It is shared by the entire band, every single member. There's no my meat or your berries. It is our food, distributed equitably, based on need, based on contribution. Every single member has a vital role in the never-ending quest for nourishment. The hunter who tracked, the gatherer who found, the elder who knows the ancient ways, the woman who prepares, all are essential. So as you sit down to eat your charred meat or your handful of wild berries by the flickering vital firelight, remember, every single bite is a testament, a profound, silent acknowledgement of your band's ingenuity, its courage, its collective effort. In the Stone Age, food doesn't just nourish you, it defines you. It is the very essence of your existence. It's evening now. The sun has dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues that quickly give way to the deepening indigo of twilight. You've worked, you've suffered, you've survived, you've eaten your hard-won meal. You might think the day is winding down, but don't get too relaxed. Don't let your guard down, because the spirits are watching. They are always watching. So is the vast, magnificent night sky, glittering with stars, and so are the myriad unseen forces of the natural world. In the Stone Age, religion isn't just part of life. It is more than that. It is life itself. It is utterly, inextricably intertwined with every single breath you take. Every hunt, every storm that rages across the plains. There's no organised church, no towering cathedrals, no written doctrines, no sacred text to pore over. But there is a deep, pervasive, undeniable belief, a profound reverence for the spirits of the animals you hunt, for the powerful, life-giving essence of the land beneath your feet, and for the immense, often terrifying influence of the sun, the moon, and the countless stars that blanket the ancient night. Every single day is structured around the raw, undeniable rhythms of nature, the predictable cycle of sunrise and sunset, the mesmerizing phases of the moon, the great sweeping migrations of the animal herds, the subtle yet vital shifts of the seasons. Your calendar is the changing face of the natural world. Missing a hunt, failing to respect a kill, ignoring the subtle signs of the earth, these are not sins in the medieval sense of divine transgression. But they can have immediate, devastating, deadly consequences. If the spirits of the hunt are displeased, your next hunt might fail. Your family might starve. If you disrespect the land, if you take too much, if you fail to acknowledge its bounty, it might yield nothing. Or worse, it might punish you. There's no Bible written in Latin. Your sacred texts are the stories, the ancient resonant tales told around the flickering fire, the traditions whispered from elder to child, passed down painstakingly, generation by generation, for thousands of years. The powerful, evocative images painted on the cold, dark walls of your cave, depicting the spirits of great beasts, the triumphs of the hunt, the mysterious beings that inhabit the unseen world. You rely utterly on the shaman, or the spiritual leader of your band, the one who has the gift, the one who can interpret the subtle signs, who can guide the rituals, who can commune with the unseen world. If the shaman says your sickness is because a malevolent spirit has entered your body, well, then it's time for a powerful healing ceremony, for chants, for offerings, for desperate prayers. Tithes? Not in the financial sense, not in the accumulation of wealth, But everything you gather, every piece of fruit, every root, everything you kill, every animal, it is shared, communally, among the entire band. Your contribution to the group is your very worth. If you find nothing, if you contribute nothing, your band sustains you. But if you consistently fail to contribute, if you become a burden, if you break the unspoken rules, you might not survive, you might be left behind. Holidays here are moments of intense ritual, of profound celebration, a successful hunt, a bountiful harvest of seasonal berries, the changing of seasons. These are not just breaks from labour, they are sacred, they are profound spiritual events, times for dancing, for communal feasting, for storytelling that binds the generations, for connecting with the awe-inspiring, often terrifying, forces that govern your world. Questioning the ancient traditions or the wisdom of the shaman is dangerous. The forces of nature are too powerful, too immediate, too crucial to your survival to dismiss. Your very existence is too precarious to risk alienating the spirits. So you go through the motions, you participate, you chant, you bow, you participate, you pray that your spirit, after enduring this raw, brief life, might find peace, might find abundance in the ancestral hunting grounds. Because in the Stone Age, the natural world, in all its majestic indifference, is your ultimate unyielding god. If you thought being a medieval peasant was rough, imagine living it as a woman in the Stone Age. All the filth, the hunger, the constant fear of predators and rivals, plus the immense, overwhelming, utterly vital burden of perpetuating the very existence of humanity. Here, in this primal world, being a woman is like being the essential lifeline, the very thread from which all future generations will hang, with absolutely no room for error. From the moment of birth, a girl's life path is inextricably entwined with the survival of the band. Marriage, as you know it, isn't a formal ceremony. It's a gradual, organic joining of lives, a union of two individuals into a larger interdependent family unit. Childbearing is not just expected. It is vital. It is essential. Every single new life brought into this harsh world is a triumph, a profound victory against overwhelming odds. There's no education in a formal sense, no schools, no books, beyond what you learn painstakingly from your mother, from the other women of the band, how to identify edible plants from the poisonous ones, how to process raw hides into soft usable materials, how to care for the vulnerable young, how to make crucial tools from bone and stone, how to prepare the meagre food. These are the lessons of survival. Motherhood happens early, incredibly early, and it happens frequently. There's no concept of contraception. Your body is a vessel for new life, a sacred, fundamental purpose, and you will likely bear many children, often while you're still incredibly young yourself. It's not about love in a modern romantic sense. It's about the survival of the lineage, the strength of the band, the continuation of humanity itself. Your opinion? Valued within your sphere, certainly. Within the realm of gathering, of childcare, of domestic tasks, your wisdom is sought. But your primary role is often defined by your profound ability to sustain life, both through the food you gather and prepare, and crucially through the offspring you bring into the world. Childbirth is perhaps the most dangerous endeavour a woman will undertake, a relentless, agonizing gauntlet. There's no prenatal care, no sterile tools, no anesthesia beyond what your own body provides by pushing you to the brink of consciousness. Midwives, often elder women in the band, do their absolute best, using ancient ancestral knowledge and practical hard-won experience. But even minor complications can mean death, for the mother, for the child, or, often, for both. Many women survive 10 pregnancies. Many, tragically, do not survive 2. But don't worry. Once the baby's out, once the raw agony subsides, your work does not lessen, it increases, exponentially. Now you have a tiny, screaming infant to carry, to nurse, to protect, all while continuing to gather food, to break camp, to move with the band. You don't get a break. You are the break for everyone else. You are the continuous engine of the group. If you're unmarried, it's either because you haven't yet joined with a mate, or perhaps your band is very small, and there are few options. If you're widowed, you are vulnerable, profoundly so. But you are often absorbed into another family unit for the sake of survival. If you're outspoken, your wisdom might be valued. You might become a revered storyteller, or conversely, your differences might make you a target. There's no concept of witchcraft in the medieval sense, but fear of the unknown, fear of powerful spirits, means that those who stand out too much might be ostracized, or viewed with suspicion. In short, if you're a woman in the Stone Age, you are expected to endure, to nurture, to reproduce, to contribute constantly and tirelessly to the survival of your band, all while navigating a brutal, unpredictable world. You are the resilient heart, the unyielding backbone, the very essence of what makes us human. You are the mother of all future generations. So far, you've battled the relentless cold, the gnawing hunger, the complete lack of hygiene, the constant itchy torment of parasites. You've endured the brutal, unending work, the ever-present threat of wild predators and rival bands. You have faced the profound daily struggle of mere existence. But just when you think your day, your life, can't get any worse, here comes violence. Raw, brutal, unflinching, and often a cold, hard fact of life, a constant companion. Let's be clear, the Stone Age was not peaceful. The romanticized notion of ancient peoples living in idyllic harmony, it's a fiction. There's no concept of law and order in the way you understand it. Beyond the immediate unspoken rules and customs of your band, rules that are enforced by the strongest, or the wisest, or the most ruthless. Violence is everywhere. It permeates the air, within your own small band, between rival groups struggling for resources, and relentlessly from the wild animals that constantly threaten your very existence. Tribal disputes are common, frequent, a fierce fight over prime hunting grounds, a desperate clash over a precious water source, a brutal struggle for dominance between rival males, or even a simple, escalating misunderstanding. Any of these could erupt into deadly conflict at any moment. Punishment for infractions within your own band might involve immediate physical retribution, beatings, ostracism, a slow, agonizing death sentence in itself, or, in extreme, unforgivable cases, banishment, or even immediate death at the hands of your own kin. There's no formal justice system, no trials by ordeal, just immediate, harsh, often fatal consequences. Steal a precious, hard-won tool, a meticulously crafted spearhead, or a share of meat, vital for survival, you might face the swift, brutal wrath of your band. Accused of bringing bad luck to the hunt, of violating an ancient taboo, you might be cast out, left to face the wilderness alone. There's no trial in a formal sense, just the collective grim judgment of your leaders, the unyielding will of the group, and if you're sentenced to death or simply found too weak, too much of a burden, it is swift, unceremonious. There's no public spectacle, no cheering crowds, just the quiet, grim reality of a life ended. Sometimes by your own people. Domestic violence, while not explicitly condoned by a set of laws, was likely a grim private reality in a world where physical dominance was often paramount. Street fights, not in the urban sense, but clashes within the band or with rival groups could lead to severe injuries, or swift, fatal consequences, and warfare, primitive, brutal skirmishes with spears, stones, and clubs, was a constant, terrifying reality. Driven by competition for scarce resources, by territoriality, by vengeance, someone's always fighting off rivals, in the name of territory, in the name of survival, in the name of pure, brutal necessity. Violence isn't a breakdown of society in the Stone Age. It is society, in its most raw, unmediated form. Everyone lives with a constant, chilling knowledge that life is fragile. Incredibly fragile. Justice, such as it exists, is immediate. And the next threat could come from any direction, from a rival hunter, from a desperate member of your own group, or most often, from a powerful, hungry predator lurking just beyond the firelight. So walk carefully. Keep your eyes scanning the horizon, your ears tuned to every rustle, and never ever let your guard down. Never trust anyone who isn't family. Or, even more profoundly, never trust anyone who isn't your family. At this point, you've made it through. You've battled the relentless cold, the gnawing hunger, the profound lack of hygiene, the constant itchy torment of parasites. You've endured the brutal, unending work, the ever-present threat of wild predators and rival bands. You have faced the profound daily struggle of mere raw existence. You are a survivor. But now comes the final chapter, the grim, inevitable conclusion of most Paleolithic lives, an early and often profoundly unglamorous death, if you are alive and still breathing. Past the age of 30, even past 25, you are truly an elder, a revered, awe-inspiring celebrity in your own right. You are a living testament to sheer, unyielding tenacity. You might even be referred to with hushed reverence as the Ancient One, a living, breathing statistical miracle. Let's break it down. The average life expectancy in the Paleolithic. It hovers, grimly, around 25 to 30 years. But that number, chillingly, is dragged down heavily, profoundly so, by infant and child mortality. A significant, heartbreaking percentage of all children born, nearly half, some estimates suggest, died before reaching the tender age of 5. Disease, malnutrition, a single, raging infection, or simply one brutal winter. That was all it took. One small thing. There were no vaccines, no antibiotics, no hope beyond the raw resilience of the human body and the desperate, often futile wisdom of the elders. If you survived childhood, if you made it past those perilous early years, you entered adulthood already hardened, already exhausted, already bearing the indelible marks of a life lived on the brink. Work began as soon as you could walk upright, as soon as you could carry a digging stick, or pick up a fallen branch. And by the time you were 20, your body would already show the profound wear and tear of constant back-breaking exertion. Your joints would ache, your muscles would be knotted, you might be missing several teeth, carry the jagged scars of old wounds, and you would have developed a profound, quiet, often terrifying understanding of the brutal realities of existence. Women, as we discussed, faced a particularly deadly gauntlet: childbirth. It was one of the leading, most frequent causes of death for Paleolithic women. No pain relief, no medical intervention beyond basic instinctive care, just raw, primal courage and determination. Many women survived multiple pregnancies. Many, tragically, did not survive too. For men, the dangers were different, but equally relentless. Hunting accidents, horrific injuries from tools, attacks by wild animals, brutal clashes with rival bands. Even simply walking to the market, a concept that doesn't exist, could be risky if you stumbled upon a sleeping bear, or fell into a hidden crevice, or simply fell ill too far from your group. Death could also come quietly, insidiously, from a simple infection, which could take a small cut, a scrape, and turn it deadly, or from famine, which could grip entire regions, last for entire seasons, slowly, agonizingly thinning out entire bands, whole villages, or from pure, blind, indifferent bad luck, like a sudden, catastrophic flood, a rock slide, or simply falling ill too far from the group, unable to keep up, abandoned to the elements. And funerals? You were lucky if you got one. If your band had the time, the resources, the safety, bodies were often buried quickly, sometimes with simple tools or rudimentary ornaments, a mark of respect, a belief in an afterlife, but rarely with elaborate ceremony. No embalming, no polished coffins, just a hole, a few murmured prayers, or silent, profound rituals, and the earth, reclaiming what was hers. So yes, in Stone Age times, life was profoundly, unimaginably brutal, achingly short, and constantly under siege by death, in all its casual, indifferent forms. You didn't retire, you didn't get a pension, you just stopped moving. Your life simply ceased. So, how's your day been? You've woken up on cold, hard ground, relieved yourself in the vast open, eaten tough, raw meat, or perhaps nothing at all. You've layered coarse animal hides against the biting cold, gnawed on roots for your aching teeth, laboured constantly, relentlessly for your very survival, endured brutal, indifferent weather, dodged deadly microbes and unseen parasites, and you faced the constant, looming threat of violence, from animals, from rivals, and from the very forces of nature itself. Welcome. Welcome to a single day in the Paleolithic. Still dreaming of returning to a simpler time, of abandoning your modern life for a life closer to nature. Think again. That romanticized version of ancient peoples, living in idyllic harmony with nature, a peaceful existence. It's a myth, a comforting story, polished by modern yearning. In truth, the Stone Age was raw, unyielding, profoundly, incredibly challenging. Hierarchy, such as it existed, was based on raw strength, on hard-won wisdom, on absolute, undeniable contribution to the band's survival. If you were born weak, if you were born sickly, your chances were precarious, incredibly so. If you were born strong, healthy, resilient, congratulations, you had a better chance of surviving, of thriving. But you were still one bad hunt away from starvation, one infected cut away from debilitating illness, one wrong step away from an early, unglamorous grave. Even the most skilled hunter, the most powerful male, could fall to a charging mammoth, or a territorial bear, or a single, unseen pathogen. The simpler times weren't simple. They were relentlessly, brutally difficult. Every single action took immense physical, mental, and emotional effort. Everything hurt more. Everything. From the agonizing process of childbirth to the simple act of chewing your food came with profound, often fatal consequences. Life was survival, not leisure. And if you did find a quiet moment to think, to dream, to imagine something better, there wasn't much you could do with it. No upward mobility, no modern medicine to alleviate your suffering, no internet to Google. What's this weird bite? You lived, you suffered, you worked, and you died, within the constantly shifting boundaries of your hunting grounds, often within a very small radius of where you were born. But here's the wildest part, the most profound, awe-inspiring truth of all. Through all of this, through the brutal cold, the gnawing hunger, the constant fear, the endless suffering, through all of it, people still laughed. They did. They found joy. They sang songs around the flickering fire. They told ancient, sacred stories that bound them together. They painted incredible art on the walls of their caves. They crafted beautiful tools, simple ornaments. They loved. They grieved. They celebrated. And they found meaning in the very act of living, in the profound bonds of their small family groups, in the vast, awe-inspiring, terrifying beauty of the natural world around them. Not because life was easy, but because humans are stubborn, incredibly stubborn, like that. Even in the darkest, most primitive chapters of our story, they made space for light, for connection, for creativity, for the very essence of what makes us human. So tonight, when you slip into your clean, warm bed, with indoor plumbing just steps away, with antibiotics within reach, with central heating to keep you comfortable, perhaps, just perhaps, say a quiet, profound thank you to the modern world, and then take a moment, spare a thought for those distant ancient ancestors, the very first humans, who, against truly unimaginable odds, against every single conceivable challenge, endured. They survived the Paleolithic. They persevered, one brutal day at a time, one miraculous birth at a time, laying the indelible foundation for every single comfort, every single complexity, every single luxury. We know today they are our legacy, and we are theirs.